Agile is a mindset. Principles of Agile. Welcome change, motivate people. Since teams are self-organized, the teams are always motivated. It's not that somebody is just behind you with a stick that, oh, you have to do that. You take, as an individual, you have the ownership of some things to be done. There are constant feedback loops. Since you're interacting with the clients, you're giving them a demo every week or every sprint. There is a continuous feedback cycle which goes on, and not from the client but with the testing team as well. Since the testing is the daily process, it doesn't happen at the end of the development cycle. It's a continuous process. You know, the feedbacks are continuous. The continuous delivery, we have talked about incremental development, small value-added slices, learning through discovery, and the continuous improvement. Right? We don't have a requirement document. We just have a one-liner requirement. Like, for example, if I have to work on probably a job website, right? As a user, I would want to have a search criteria implemented. So now in search criteria, there could be so many things. How would I implement it, right? I would be forced to talk to my product owner to elaborate that requirement. So once you start doing it, it becomes a mindset. You get acquainted to that no, you need to interact. So which again leads to your customer. So this alone talking of your elaborating a requirement will implement both your customer collaboration, where you're talking with your customer, individual interaction, rather than talking over emails. I mean, obviously emails is one of the way of interacting, but rather than you would prefer picking up the phone and understanding it in detail. Or maybe you would have a video conference or something. So we are forcing teams to interact. Right? So we respond to change. As I mentioned that since we are collaborating, we are talking, we will end up responding to change. Okay, there is a question by Smita. What will determine the effectivity of the Agile team with respect to soft skills, technical skills, and being team player working on the project? Smita, as I just mentioned, if you are agile, if you are ready to change yourself, if you are ready to adopt agility in you, that's the only way of success. If you have that ego, if I'm talking, okay, why do I need to go and clarify anything? That person can also come and talk to me. If you have that kind of a mindset in agile, you cannot succeed. It's again your mindset. If you have a conflict with somebody, or Agile says just go and talk, express your concern, what you have, and then as a team find out a solution to that. So everything boils down to you being agile. So if you can do that, if you can change your mindset, if you can adopt agility in your blood, as Kapil mentioned, you would be successful. Nothing can stop from your teams to be successful. Now, why do you think we need agile? Why did traditional waterfall model fail? Okay, so as we all know, in traditional waterfall model, we cannot move to another phase till the first phase has been complete. So in a way, if we are working on the requirements, till all the requirement documents have been requirement has been analyzed, everything has been done, documents have been created, the sign-off has been given by the client, we will not move to design phase. So after all the design has been implemented and everything has been done, it is only then that we move to the coding phase. So in a way, the output of one phase becomes the input to the another phase, right? And in a process, or if there is something which changes, right? And if the client realizes, oh, I was not wanting the UI to look that way. If I have to go and change something, I would have to go and change all the phases, right? Which is again a very time consuming. Obviously, if I'm working on a requirement gatherings in one go, it would take months for me, or probably few weeks for me to understand the complete requirement, come out with a well-documented SRS document. So I'll have to redo all those weeks again. Okay, so the cost of change, so there are change, so in a way we are not able to change it, we are little rigid towards the change. While in agile methodology, what we do, we work in very small chunks. We are not working in a big bang way. Look, here I'll take an example. For example, if I want to create a login screen, in my traditional agile waterfall model, what I'll do is I'll create a login screen. I would have had some requirements and some kind of an idea or a UI idea from a client, and based on that requirement I will create a login screen, and then probably I'll show it to the client. So here I'm assuming my login screen, creation of a login screen was just an example, was just the requirement, right? So, but in Agile, so if I have to create a login screen, so what I'll do, I'll probably pick up just the UI part of it in the first phase. Okay, so I'll talk to client, I'll have a client collaboratively working with me. I'll create a UI. I'll go back to client once I'm done with the UI. The testing would be done in parallel. Everything would be done in parallel. I'll go back to my client after probably a week or just creation of a UI and ask him if he is okay or if he wants to go ahead with the same UI. So now at this point, if client would realize, oh, this is not the way I wanted my UI to look, and if he asks us to change something, it would be just 2 or probably 1 week of effort. Had I given him the complete login screen with all the field level validations working and landing page coming up, back-end processing happening, for me it would have been a huge effort. But here in this, we are working in small pieces. We are involving client at every stage. We are giving him the demo. It's not that the client is involved at almost daily level. Okay, so this is how Agile came into picture and the waterfall model failed. This is not that waterfall model is of no use, but waterfall model can be used for the projects which are like very small in nature, or probably client is 100% sure about the requirement. This is what he needs and this is what he needs. But the project has to be pretty small for it to work. It should not be that project lasts for years and by the time it comes out, the technology and the method or probably what we needed has completely changed. Does it make sense? Any questions? Okay, and one of the major difference which I would want to point out, if you look at my slide, the second point says the leadership is more commanding and controlling, right? In Agile, where we say the leadership, the project manager, though there is no term called project manager in Agile, but then he should be a servant leader. We don't believe that as a manager I should get command and control my team and get my work done. While in Agile, I say my team should be self-sufficient, they should have the feeling of the ownership and they should be self-manageable. I should not be the one as a manager or as a senior probably, I would not be the one who would go and tell my team what to do. They would understand the things on their own, they would be self-organizing and they would pick up this thing as its own. So as we are called, the leadership role there is called a servant leader. The command and control doesn't work in Agile. Okay, so just for the heck of reading this, I'll just go through it, and if you have any doubts, you can just pop up your questions. So it says the traditional waterfall model is more rigid and it was always top-down approach, as we talked about it. It's more commanding and controlling style of leadership. It follows spoon-feeding methodology. That is, management tells everyone what has to be done. The teams are not self-organizing. Teams need a guidance, what needs to be done and what next. It's a document oriented. So one of the biggest myth that we have in Agile is there is no documentation involved. No, there is a documentation involved, but then we document it in a crisp and shortest form which is needed. So for example, I don't go and create a software requirement document, software SRS document, right? So how many of you, if you have worked in your waterfall or traditional model, how many of you in the middle of project just went back and read the requirement document? In my experience, most of the time as a testing teams, we never just even went back and read the test strategy document. So where we had, 50, 40 page documents describing what would be the cross-platform or cross-browser testing. None of us ever went, and most of the time we ended up missing one or another requirement. Right? But in Agile, we do have documents, but they are in such a crisp and short form, or maybe they would be just a simple sticky note saying, okay, test cross-platform, the heading would be cross-platform and the browser names. That's it. That's it. And it would be displayed at a common area where everyone can see those. It would not be hidden somewhere in your version control systems, and you would not that you have to spend some time. It would be somewhere on the common wall or on the probably whiteboard where every team member can see, and on the process they just memorize it. So yes, documents are there, but they are short and simple. So here Kulbhushan has a question that if teams are self-manageable, who will prioritize the user stories among many user stories in the Scrum meetings? It's the product owner, Kulbhushan. So we will talk about it. It's product owner is the one who is the intermediary between the development, the teams and the stakeholders. So he is the one who acts as a gate for the requirements. He prioritized everything and decided what would go in one iteration. Okay, so we will talk about it. Okay, so resistant to changes, no. As we said that Agile implements changes. So as in the example I mentioned, so if there is a change in the UI in a traditional waterfall model, I would have resisted it because for me it would have been a month-long effort. But for in Agile, I would embrace change, and I would say, okay, it's just a few weeks of effort or probably a week of effort, a few days of effort. Okay, we will go ahead and change your requirements since we are not working in a big bang way. Okay. It's more serious about process and not the product. So yes, so this is one of the thing that we, as Pratap even mentioned, the visibility of the product that is being developed comes at a very early stage. In that similar example that we were talking, a client could see a UI and a product in a very short span of time. Otherwise, in traditional model, he would have kept gauging what he would get in after 3 weeks or probably 4 weeks or probably six months of time. But here in Agile, whatever was being done, he had the visibility of that. Right? He could just see, oh, UI was done. He could see that how things were progressing because he was part of daily meetings and he was interacting with his team daily. Okay.